Greetings, friends. Happy All Saints Day, the 1st of November. So, what is the point of this holiday, or what's the point of this holy day in the Catholic Church? Well, I think one of the things that we must do in our lives is we must yearn for sanctity. Pope Benedict put it well when he said, "The saints are not a small cast of chosen souls, but an innumerable crowd to which the liturgy urges us to raise our eyes. This multitude not only includes the officially recognized saints, but the baptized of every epoch and nation who sought to carry out the divine will faithfully and lovingly." In a nutshell, what Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI, I should rather say, is he wanted to point to the fact that there have been men and women throughout history of the Catholic Church in particular, no matter what period of time it is, they would take the time they would perfect their lives. Now, the saints come from many different backgrounds. Some were devout. Some at one point were persecutors of the church. Look at St. Paul, for example. At one point during his road to Damascus, he experienced a radical conversion. We look at the life of St. John Paul the Great, who lived through not one but two evil regimes, one from the Nazis and the other one from the communists in Russia. Yet he still became the Pope that will guide the Catholic Church in the 20th century. We look at St. Teresa of Calcutta. St. Teresa, born in Albany, but she experienced her call to help the poor in Calcutta. Not only was she faithful to the poor there, but she also was consistently an outspoken opponent of abortion. But of course, she also kept the sacredness of life from womb to tomb, which was very close to her heart, especially with her ministry with the missionaries of the charity. Another example, well, he's not a saint yet, but Blessed Michael Mcgivney, who was beatified a year ago. Father Mcgivney founded the Knights of Columbus, and he was a very faithful parish priest who experienced suffering in his own life when he lost his father. And then when he was at St. Mary's in New Haven, he would go on to gather 24 men in the basement of the church he was assigned, because he knew that the Catholic families were marginalized due to the fact that Protestants were persecuting them. And one of his faithful parishioners, who would later become the first top knight of the order once it grew, experienced the persecution firsthand during the American Civil War when he served in the regiment in Connecticut. And they formed a group that is known today as the Knights of Columbus, and you may see them. You may recall some of them wearing those feather hats known as the chapeau and the capes, and of course the tuxedos, which they transitioned to the berets, blazers, and ties and everything like that. But they still have the swords, though. Yeah, there's that. And then, of course, you have saints that were martyrs that had a beautiful witness to the faith. One in particular is Saint Oscar Romero, who was an archbishop in El Salvador during the time of a very radical upheaval. And he called some of those Marxist guerrillas to conversion. And while he was celebrating Mass during the liturgy of the Eucharist, he was shot dead in front of many massgoers, and they were really sad, very appalled. Go back about 100 years, Mexican Catholics who were part of the Cristeros Wars and were persecuted by an atheistic administration, they were martyred for their faith. Many were clergy and religious. Overall, all these people had one thing in common. They had God at the center of their lives. They wanted to move the world, not move with the world, as Gilbert Keith Chesterton puts it. Even Pope Benedict XVI reminds us that being a saint means living close to God, to live in his family, and this is the vocation of us all. But how can we become holy, friends of God? He asks. His answer is we can first give a negative answer to this question. To be a saint requires neither extraordinary actions or works, nor the possession of exceptional charisms. Then comes a positive reply. It is necessary, first of all, to listen to Jesus and then to follow him without losing heart when faced by difficulties. And if you recall, in the gospel reading from Matthew, the opening 12 verses of the 5th chapter, you would hear the Sermon on the Mount in which Jesus preaches these 8 things known as the Beatitudes. Those Beatitudes are, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the land. Blessed are they who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be satisfied. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the clean of heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they should be called children of God. Blessed are they who are persecuted for the sake of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And of course, Jesus ends by saying to the crowd, rejoice and be glad, for your reward will be great in heaven. Now, do we necessarily have to follow all 8 of these? Yes. And there are other things you have to do too. To me, a saint, I think of saints as I think of them as the heroes that that Catholics need these days, especially now. Now, do you need to be religious? Do you need to be a priest, a deacon, a bishop, a cardinal, a pope to be a saint? No. Even St. John Paul the Great, during his papacy, he nearly canonized 600 saints during his 27 years in the papacy. And he made it clear, anyone can attain holiness. How do we do it? It's pretty simple. You need to have love for God, follow his commandments, live out the Beatitudes, show mercy to others, but most importantly, let God perfect your life. Let him show you the way, and let the Spirit work through you and in you as you proclaim God's word to everyone. Recently, Pope Francis beatified an amazing Italian saint that I think many of us are starting to come to know. Blessed Sandra Sabatini, who actually lived a very short life, who died at 22. And towards the end of her life, she was ministering to those who are on the margins, and of course those with special needs. Her famous quote is, when there's an inflation of Christians, let there be an inflation of saints. My brothers and sisters, you are called to greatness. You're not made for comfort, as Pope Benedict XVI reminds us. You're made for greatness. In order for us to achieve that greatness, we must follow God. We must seek him. Even St. John Paul the Great reminds us that an adventure with God is the most beautiful thing you can have in your life. My brothers and sisters, are you ready to take that first step to become a saint? Are we ready to let God perfect our lives so we can share his message to others? Be a saint. All you holy men and women saints of God, pray and intercede for us. May God bless, keep, love you all the days of your life.